The stars were quiet that night. In the deep void between galaxies, nothing moved. No ships, no signals. Only silence. Then, without warning, a strange pulse shot across the darkness. It was not natural. It was not random. It had purpose. Through relay stations, bounced off old satellites, and entered human space. Somewhere on the edge of Sector 12, one of Earth's deep space listening posts caught it. The post was small, only 6 people lived there. They were used to quiet days watching empty space and logging strange radiation waves. But when the signal came, everything changed. Lieutenant Mara Lorne sat alone in the control room. Her screen flashed red. It had never done that before. The words on the screen were not human. The symbols twisted and moved, shifting like smoke. But the meaning was clear. The translation system struggled, then delivered just 5 words. Stay. Away, you were warned. Mara stared at the words for a long time. Her hand hovered over the alert button. She knew what this meant. A direct warning. From someone or something not human. It wasn't a greeting. It was a threat. She pressed the button. Across Earth's colonies and stations, the message was received and examined. Experts studied the language. Military officers reviewed the source. It was traced to a system far beyond any known border, inside a dark patch of space where human ships had vanished before, a place some called the Dead Zone. No one had returned from there now. Someone from that place was watching, and they were sending a warning in the United Earth Command Hall. High above Earth, top leaders gathered. A massive screen showed the message again and again. General Cale Voss leaned forward. His face was hard, his voice low.
We send ships.
Across the stars, we build colonies on dead moons. Guys. And now someone dares tell us to stay away. Others were not so quick to anger. Counselor Denari, head of the Galactic Peace Alliance, shook his head. We should listen. This might not be a threat. It could be a border warning. We don't want another war. But not everyone agreed. Admiral Raina Holt stood in silence at the edge of the room. Her hands were behind her back. She had fought in 2 border wars. She had seen what fear could do. She also knew how humans reacted to threats. When she finally spoke, everyone listened. We don't start wars, she said calmly. But we don't run from them either. If someone tells us to stay away from the stars, we find out why. Silence followed. Then the orders came. A mission would be launched. Quiet, fast, only 1 fleet. No public news, no panic. No announcement. Earth would respond with calm strength. 3 days later, the ship Resolute left from Mars shipyard. It was built for exploration, but reinforced for danger. It carried 80 trained officers, engineers, and Marines. It was led by Captain Elias Soren, young but bold commander with sharp eyes and a history of getting into trouble. He stood on the bridge as the stars bent around them. Set course for the Dead Zone, he said. Let's see who wants to. Scare humanity. The crew felt the tension, but no one said a word. After 4 days in warp, they reached the edge of the zone. All sensors dropped. The stars became dimmer. It was like falling into fog. But in space, we've entered, said the navigator. All scans black. It's like something is eating the signals. Keep going, Soren replied. Hours passed, and something appeared. A structure, huge, floating in space. Not a ship, not a station, more like a scar. A massive wall of dark metal, cracked and burned, stretched across space. Pieces of old. Ships were stuck to it. Human ships. Soren's face turned pale. This is a graveyard. Suddenly the comms lit up. A voice spoke. But it wasn't spoken, it was inside their minds. It felt cold. It felt ancient. You were told. Do not come closer. One of the Marines grabbed his head. Blood trickled from his nose. The medic rushed to help the crew, panicked for a moment, but Soren stayed firm. Get me Admiral Holt now. The signal was weak, but the message was sent. Raina Holt watched from Earth as the footage came in. The wall. The voice. The bleeding crewman. She stood still, but her eyes burned with focus. "Who are they?" General asked. "We don't know," Reyna answered. "But they're not bluffing." Back on the Resolute, the crew continued scanning. Behind the wall, they saw movement. Dozens of small objects. It looked like drones. Sharp, silent, watching. One of the officers gasped. "Captain, these drones have human parts, arms, helmets, bones." The bridge went quiet. "Back us out." "Now," Soren ordered. But it was too late. A pulse shot from the wall. Not a weapon, a wave. It hit the Resolute and shut down half the ship. Lights flickered. Engines dropped. Life support coughed. Shields failing. The engineer shouted. "We're dead in the water." Soren gritted his teeth. Urgency. "Buck up, engage." For 5 minutes, they drifted. Then slowly, power returned. Sort of sent another message back to Earth. "We are being watched. This is not just a warning. It is a test. And we just failed it." On Earth, the Council was in panic mode. "This is a provocation," shouted one. "No, this is suicide," said another. But Admiral Holt stood again. "If we leave now, we look weak," she said. "And if they think we're weak, they will. Come to us." The President of Earth spoke from the screen. "Then what do you propose, Admiral?" Reyna Holt did not blink. "We send reinforcements, not to fight, to protect. We show strength, not fear. We remind the stars who we are." There was silence, then a nod. Orders were given from the moons of Jupiter. From the shipyards of Saturn, new ships began to rise. Silent, dark-colored, heavily armed. Humanity wasn't declaring war. It was no longer stepping back. Back in the dead zone, the Resolute recovered. Captain Soren looked out into the black space beyond the wall. The drones were still there, watching, waiting. He turned to his crew. "Mark this moment. The galaxy just showed us its shadow.
Ow.
Now it's our turn to show what stands in the light." The crew didn't cheer. They didn't smile. But each one stood straighter. A silent promise had been made. Humanity would not run. It would not hide. It would not forget the warning that crossed the stars, and it would answer with strength. Captain Elias Soren stood at the edge of the bridge, staring into the dark. Behind him, his crew waited for orders. In front of him, the stars looked twisted like someone had pulled space itself into knots. This was not normal space. Something else. The dead zone was not just a name. It felt wrong. Even the stars here were too still, too quiet. It felt like something was watching, something very old, very patient. "All systems green," said Lieutenant Varen. "But I still don't trust it. It's too quiet." "Good," Soren replied. "Keep your distrust. It might keep us alive." The Resolute moved forward slowly. No one spoke loudly. Every sound felt louder than it should. The sensors picked up faint energy signals, but nothing clear. Ghost readings. Things that vanished as soon as they were scanned. "Do we know where the signal came from?" asked Soren. "Somewhere near a dead star system 6 light hours from here," said Ensign Rowe. "But all readings are distorted. We can't trust our maps anymore." Then we move slow. And we don't split up.
Us.
As they approached the dead star system, they saw pieces of ships floating. Some were human. Others were alien shapes no one had ever seen before. All were broken, hollow, and silent. One wreck was still burning. It meant it had been destroyed recently. Soren looked closer. No. Distress signals. "No escape pods," he said. Someone wanted these ships erased. Then they heard it. A soft clicking noise on the COMMS talk tick. Tick. Ticked. It didn't sound like a machine. It sounded like claws on metal. "Shut that channel," Varen shouted. The sound stopped. "What the hell was that?" Rowe asked, but no one answered. Hours passed. Then the Resolute picked up something large ahead. Station, massive, floating in silence. It looked abandoned, covered in dust and metal scars. But it was not dead. Lights blinked deep inside, faint, blue, and rhythmic, like a heartbeat. "Is that human tech?" Soren asked. "No, it's something older. maybe thousands of years. Good. B. A Dravari design. The word made people freeze. The Dravari were myths, stories told to scare new recruits. A race that lived in the shadows of the galaxy, silent, merciless. No one had seen them not, and lived to speak. But now, maybe they were real. "Bring us in close," Soren said. The Resolute slowly docked with the station boarding team. Suited up 6 Marines, 1 tech officer, and Soren himself. The airlock hissed open. The station smelled like burned oil and rusted metal. Lights flickered. The walls felt too narrow, like they had been built for smaller, thinner beings. Team moved slowly, guns ready, lights cutting the darkness. "This place gives me chills," whispered one Marine. "Good," Soren said. "Fear keeps you sharp." As they moved deeper, they found strange symbols on the walls. Long winding patterns, like vines or veins. They pulsed faintly as they passed. Then they found the room. It was filled with glass pods. Some were broken, some were still sealed. Inside the sealed ones were humans, at least. They used to be. Now they were changed. Their skin was pale. Their eyes glowing faint blue. Tubes ran from their necks to the walls. Their bodies twitched every few seconds, as if caught in a loop. "My God," whispered the tech officer. "They're alive." But barely. They're being drained. Soren's stomach turned. By what? Before anyone could answer, the station trembled. Movement. Shouted a Marine. "Something's coming." From the far corridor, shapes moved fast. Too fast. Black-skinned creatures with long limbs, no faces, and blades for arms. They didn't run. They glided, silent, swift, deadly fallback. Soren ordered. The team fired. The creatures moved like smoke, dodging shots. 2 Marines fell cut, clean through. The others made it back to the airlock. The door slammed shut behind them. "Undock." "Now," Soren shouted through coms. The Resolute pulled away just as the station lit up. Energy built at its center. "They're charging something," Varen warned. The energy pulsed, but not toward them. It sent out a signal. Deep, strong pulse. Soren's eyes widened. They're not hiding anymore. They're calling others. More signals burst across the dead zone, all from hidden stations. All waking up. "We need to leave now," Soren said. The ship turned, but ahead of them ships appeared, not like human ships. These were alive, shaped like bones, silent, and they didn't just arrive. They unfolded from the darkness. "There's dozens," said Ro. "No, hundreds. Are they locking weapons?" "No, they're just watching." The Resolute held still, engines hot, shields up. Then one ship moved forward, a giant one. Its front opened slowly like a mouth. Inside they saw a strange object. It spun slowly. It looked like a sphere of light, but it was alive. It pulsed with thought. Then a message came. Not words, feelings, fear, hunger, territory. Warning then, one clear message. Leave or be used. Soren didn't blink. He stared at the screen. Open a narrow beam. Send this to Earth. We have seen them. They are real. And they are planning more. He turned to his crew. Prepare. For emergency warp, get us out of here. The ships didn't stop them. They just watched as the Resolute turned and vanished into warp space. Back on Earth, Admiral Reyna Holt listened to the message. Her jaw clenched. They're not just defending space, she said. They're preparing something. A move. Maybe. An invasion. Maybe worse. The president sat in silence. Round him the council argued. Some said, close the borders. Others said, negotiate. But Holt knew one thing. They took humans. Changed them. Drained them, and we have no idea how long they've been doing this. Then what do we do? The president asked. Holt stood tall. We prepare, quietly, we build, we strengthen. And if they come for us, we show them we are not prey. In the shadows of space, the warning was clear, but humanity would not run. It had seen the forbidden zone, and it would return not in fear, not with fire, The stars behind the Resolute still trembled. Captain Elias Soren stood on the bridge, silent. The crew was shaken, bruised, and tired. 2 Marines were gone. 5 injured. Everyone had seen the truth. No, monsters weren't just stories. The Dravari were real, and they were hunting. Soren's eyes were fixed on the black. Status. Engines holding. Barely, said Lieutenant Varen. Warp core needs a reset. You pushed it too hard. How long until we can jump again? 6 hours minimum, maybe more. Soren clenched his jaw. Then we're stuck. In enemy space. No one spoke. Everyone felt it. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was the silence of something watching. We need to hide, said Ensign Rowe. Those ships let us go once. They won't again. Soren said. They didn't let us go. They followed us. Sensors blinked red. There were shadows in the distance. Too far to see clearly, but they were there, moving without engines, floating like ghosts, hunting. The Resolute drifted toward a large asteroid field. They powered down main systems to avoid detection. Only emergency lights stayed on. The crew moved in darkness, every sound, every whisper felt loud in the medical bay. One of the injured Marines, Sergeant Kell, began shaking. His eyes rolled back. Get the medics, nurse screamed. Kell sat up suddenly. His voice changed. Lower, hollow. They are near, he whispered. They taste your fear. No. Then he collapsed. The medics were shocked. Scans showed strange patterns. In his brain, like something had touched his mind, left a mark. They did something to him on that station, the medic whispered to the captain. They didn't just drain his body, they opened his mind. Soren stared at the Marine's pale face. Then we can't hide, he said. We have to fight. Plan formed. The asteroid field was wide and dense, maze of sharp rocks and old wrecks. Perfect cover. And perfect trap, Soren called the engineers. We'll plant explosive charges on key rocks. If the Dravari enter, we light them up. Give us room to run. The crew moved quickly. Quietly, drones placed charges. The Marines stood guard. Hours passed. Then the sensors flashed again. 1 Dravari hunter ship entered the field. Then another, then 6. They moved like spiders, long limbs. No heat signature, no engines, just motionless gliding. Their black hulls looked like bone, eyes glowed blue. Soren waited. Let them come closer. The crew watched as the hunters moved through the maze, unaware. Now, the asteroid field exploded. Fire burst through the dark. Rocks shattered. 1 hunter's ship was torn apart. Another slammed into debris. 2 more spun away, damaged, but not all of them. 4 ships changed shape mid-flight. They bent, shifted, and kept coming. Brace for impact, shouted Varen. The hunters reached the Resolute. Claws cut into the hull. One of the creatures tore through the outer deck. Marines opened fire. The bullets slowed it but didn't stop it. Inside the ship, alarms blared. Bulkheads sealed. 1 crewman was dragged screaming into the dark. Soren grabbed a rifle. They're on board. Hold the line. He and the Marines fought in the corridors. The Dravari were fast. It's too fast. But they bled. And Soren noticed something they hated. Light. Flood the lower decks with UV lamps, he ordered. The ship lit up. The creatures screamed high and sharp. 1 burst into blue ash. The others retreated, vanishing into the vents. Silence returned. Breathing heavy, Soren looked at his team. 5 more injured, 2 missing. He walked back to the bridge. How bad? He asked. Engines still offline. Shields at 30%. Ammo low. We need help. But the signal was jammed. The Dravari had blocked all long-range comms. They were being cut off. Then something new appeared on sensors. A human ship, old, wrecked, but moving. It's one of ours, said Rowe. The Indigo Dawn, missing for 3 years. They hailed it. The voice that answered was human but weak. This is Captain Juno Hayes. We need help. They took us, changed us. But we escaped. Soren looked at the screen. Hayes looked sick. Her skin pale, like the drained bodies they had found. But her eyes were clear. Where are they coming from? He asked. Everywhere, she said. The Dravari have gates-hidden tunnels through space. They travel without being seen. Where are the gates? Near collapsed stars. Black holes. Dead suns. Soren leaned in. If we find the gates, we can stop them. Hayes nodded. Slowly, but if you go through one, you might not come back. The transmission cut. The Indigo Dawn went silent again. Soren made his choice, set course for the nearest dead star. We find their path. We closed the door. The crew didn't question. He followed, as the Resolute limped through the dark fire still burning on. Parts of the hull. They knew the truth. This was not a mission anymore. It was a warning. The Dravari were not just defending space. They were preparing for something worse. Something that left a fire trail across the stars, and humanity would be the first to stand in its path. The message reached Earth 12 hours late. It was broken, cut with static, and half-burned by radiation. But the words were clear enough to shake every leader on the planet. The Dravari are real. They have gates through dead stars. They are watching us, preparing. We must act. Captain Elias Soren, U.S., Resolute inside the Galactic Council chambers. The message played again and again. The large circular room was full. Aliens from 100 species sat at tall, shining desks. Humans had only joined the Council 30 years ago. Many still saw them as young and dangerous. Some laughed at the message. Others frowned. And a few those who had lived long enough to remember the old wars grew very quiet. Counselor Rava, of the Telnari race, raised her head. If this is true, then the dead zone is not empty, and the humans have broken treaty law by sending warships inside it. Another counselor, Lord Quinn of the Solkar, slammed a clawed hand on the desk. Humans always bring fire wherever they go. This time, they will bring it to us all. Earth's representative stood slowly. His name was Devin Kaz. He wore a dark suit and a face that had seen too many years of war. We didn't start this, he said calmly. We were threatened. Our people were taken, changed, tortured. We responded. Counselor Rava hissed. You were told to stay away. The warning was clear, and what if we had? Devin asked. What happens when the Dravari grow stronger, build more gates, and decide to move past the zone? No one answered. Then the High Speaker, a tall creature of light and mist, rose in the center of the room. This council will not allow panic. We will not declare war without proof. Devin's face did not change. You don't want proof. You want silence. The council voted. No support would be sent. No investigation allowed. The zone would remain off limits. And Earth was warned stand down, or face punishment. When Admiral Raina Holt received the council's final order, she stared at the screen for a long time. They would rather close their eyes, she said quietly, even while death crawls. Through space. Her advisors waited for her command. We have a choice, one said. Obey the council, or defend our people. She didn't hesitate. We do both. Within hours, quiet orders were sent to Mars, Europa, and the Titan rings. Fleets began to move not in daylight, but in shadow. Black ships without flags, no records. No signals. No Earth would not wait for permission. It would prepare in silence. Meanwhile, out beyond Neptune, secret transmission reached the Resolute. It was Admiral Holt's voice. Soren, the council will not help. You are alone, but we are listening. Send everything. Locations, coordinates, enemy patterns. We'll act. The time is right. On board the Resolute, Soren played the message for his crew. No one was surprised. They're afraid, said Varen. They're blind, added Ro. They're fools. Soren said, the ship limped toward a collapsed star. It was barely alive. More like a hole in the galaxy. Light bent around it. Time itself seemed to move slower near it. But near its edge something flickered. A gate. It was not made of metal. It looked like cracked glass, floating in space. It pulsed like a wound. Inside, stars twisted the wrong way. This is it, Soren said. Their door. They sent probes. One was crushed instantly. Another vanished with no return. But the third sent back a short burst of data before silence. Inside the gate was a tunnel, a long, twisted path of energy. At the other end, another galaxy, one filled with dark structures. Harvesting worlds, and the tunnel was growing. They're building more gates, the tech officer said. Connecting systems, preparing travel routes, like veins, Roe whispered. Like they're turning the galaxy into one body, and we're just blood to be drained. Soren stood in silence. Then he sent the data to Earth. Back home, Holt watched every image, every frame. She turned to her staff. The Council wants silence, but we'll give them thunder. She ordered engineers to begin construction of new weapons ones, built to collapse gates, disrupt energy tunnels, and burn through black matter. Quietly, without anyone outside knowing. A war was coming. But it would not start with ships and missiles. It would start in the shadows, in hidden labs, in secret fleets, and in one small ship, resolute, sitting alone at the gate of monsters. As Soren stared into the twisting dark, he made his final call. Of the night. Mark this location, and prepare. For what? Farron asked. Soren didn't blink. To do what the Council is afraid to do. He stepped closer to the glassy gate, to cross into their world. Let's fight back. The trap was supposed to end everything. The Council had planned it for years. Quietly. In secret, far from the ears of the humans. The galaxy was tired. Tired of fear. Tired of the way the humans changed everything they touched. Tired of watching Deathworlders walk among them like giants. So they built a plan. 148 alien species joined the effort. They shared fleets, knowledge, weapons, even spies. They created a hidden armada in the dark edge of the galaxy.
How no name.
No transmissions. Just a silent wall of warships waiting to strike, and the bait. It's perfect. It began with a fake distress call, false signal from a human colony ship. Screaming voices, shaky video, child crying, static, then silence, the humans answered. In minutes, Admiral Kira Solomon was chosen to lead the response. A cold veteran from the Titan Wars, she didn't believe in luck. She believed in power. And if there was a single human in the galaxy who could sense danger, it was her. The Vanguard, Earth's fastest long-range battleship, reached the signal's origin in 12 hours. 2 escort ships followed. They found nothing. No debris. No survivors. No attackers. Only a dead moon spinning quietly in space. It was too quiet. Kira's crew scanned for cloaked ships. Probes were launched. Everything came back clean. The data said the system was empty. But her instincts whispered something else. Some things. Wrong, she said. No colony ship explodes without a trace. And then the trap snapped shut. Thousands of warships uncloaked at once. A full circle around them. Different species, different shapes. But one purpose. Destroy the humans. End their influence. The transmission came seconds later. A voice from the Council. This is not a negotiation. This is an end. You will not return to warn your people. You will not escape. Your kind was warned. You refused, now you pay. Kira didn't flinch. Didn't even respond. Instead, she turned to her weapons officer. All guns online. Give me a path. But Admiral, the officer stammered, we're outnumbered. Over 900 ships. They're counting on fear, Kira said. Their betting will beg. She stood tall on the bridge. We're humans. Don't. Beg. The Vanguard fired first. Its railguns tore through 3 ships before they could react. The escorts flanked wide, shooting EMP shells. Smoke and debris filled space. Still hundreds more came. Missiles, lasers, plasma storms. It should have been the end, but it wasn't, because the Vanguard was no ordinary ship. It carried something new, something untested, something Earth had kept secret. The core split open. A ripple spread around the ship like a wave of blue fire. Gravity bent, time twisted. And in one moment, over 50 enemy vessels lost control. They smashed into each other. Weapons failed. Engines stalled. Kira gritted her teeth. Project Spire is holding, fired the Nova cannon. The weapon had never been used in real space before. It pulsed once. Then a spear of pure energy lanced forward, straight through a dreadnought 3 times the Vanguard's size. It exploded in silence, scattering molten metal in every direction. The alien fleet hesitated. That moment was enough. Kira ordered full acceleration. Shields at 150%. Engines to burn white-hot. The Vanguard punched through the trap by the time the remaining escort was destroyed. Kira's ship had cleared the ambush, badly damaged, half her systems offline, but alive. And worse, aware. Aware of the betrayal. Aware. That peace was a lie. Aware that the galaxy would never stop, unless humanity made them. The Council, stunned by the failure, tried to cover it up. They told the public it was an accident, a rogue fleet, pirates, a misunderstanding. But the video leaked the footage of Kira, the Vanguard firing through the dark, the human flag burning on the hull, the Council's voice ordering their death, and suddenly the galaxy knew the truth. This wasn't about safety, it was about fear. The trap had failed. And now, the real war was coming, because humanity had survived. The ambush and humanity never forgets, especially when they're betrayed, especially when you try to kill them first. The trap didn't work, but now humanity's answer would. The stars above the war zone were silent now. Not long ago, fleets had burned through that space, alien ships shaped like nightmares, flying with hatred, firing plasma so hot it turned moons into dust. But now the fire had stopped. The silence wasn't peace. It was something else. It was a trap. Commander Rhea of the human Vanguard stood at the edge of Sector. Black 19 eyes, fixed on the anomaly. A strange energy field hovered ahead, pulsing like a living wound in space. It wasn't natural. Nothing about it was. And yet the aliens had left it behind like bait. The Galactic Union thought they were clever. They wanted to trap humans, contain them, test them like lab animals. But what they didn't understand, what they had never understood, was that humans never played by the rules set by others. The trap was ready. So were the humans. It started days earlier, when a human patrol ship, the Aerolite, vanished near the Cirith Rift. Its final message had been garbled, filled with screams, static, and then silence. The aliens who had laid the ambush hoped the rest of humanity would panic. Maybe send more ships, fall into their waiting jaws. But instead of fear, Earth sent Rhea, and Rhea brought hell with her. She didn't enter the trap like a scared scout. She entered like a hunter. Her ship, the Iron Vow, wasn't flashy. No sleek design, no shimmering stealth skin. It was a floating hammerhead, bulky, brutal, built for one thing: war. Following behind her were 7 smaller warships, each named after something terrifying from human myths. Fenrir. Kraken, Medusa, Banshee, Commander, her AI spoke. We are now within the anomaly field. Weapons are hot. Shield stable. Scan it again, she ordered. They wouldn't make a trap this obvious unless they were hiding something worse. As the scans rolled in, she saw it. Cloaked ships, dozens, waiting in stillness like spiders. Some were massive, built to crush. Others fast and needle-shaped, likely meant to pierce and disable. And at the center, one vessel that pulsed with energy readings far beyond anything seen before. They called it the Mia Vaniclor, a living weapon. A ship built not just to kill but to break minds. It had done something terrible to the Aerolite. Now it waited, hungry for more. Rhea's heart didn't race. She smiled. You should have used that trap on someone else, she said, and then she gave the order. Begin Shadow Protocol. From the back of the fleet, hatches opened. Human drones zipped forward, not for attack but to feed false data. The trap would think it had control. It would think the humans were marching blindly into the snare. But every step was planned. The smaller ships scattered like frightened prey. But it was all a lie. It drew the aliens forward, exactly as Rhea wanted. From the debris field above, a hidden human ship, the Widow's Mercy, reactivated. It had been floating there for days, disguised as space junk. Now its long-range cannons lit up. The ambush had been turned. The hunters had become prey. Alien ships moved to intercept, ran straight into proximity mines the humans had quietly deployed earlier. Explosions erupted in all directions. Plasma and metal showered the dark. Inside the Iron Vow, alarms rang, but no panic followed. The humans had expected every reaction, every move. The Eye of Anakthar moved last, began charging a weapon, one strong enough to break a moon in half. But humans had seen enough wars, enough traps, enough arrogance. Rhea looked at her weapons officer. Fire the payload. The weapon they launched wasn't pretty. It was old Earth tech mixed with new human madness. A compact, unstable fusion of anti-particle warheads and quantum destabilizers. A weapon banned by half the galaxy. But humans didn't care anymore. The eye didn't even finish powering up. The explosion tore through the center of the trap. Silence turned into light. The entire field screamed as ships inside were vaporized. Shields cracked, hulls melted, the eye shattered, its core imploding into nothing. By the time the light faded, trap was gone. Every alien ship gone, every mined weapon gone, and floating through the smoke. The Iron Vow moved forward, untouched, unharmed, unafraid. "Send a message to the Galactic Union," Rhea said calmly. Her crew nodded. The message was simple. You threatened us. You tried to cage us. Now we build our own traps. Step carefully. Far across the stars, alien leaders received the message. The shock in their faces wasn't because their plan failed, but because it had been turned against them. They realized something dark and cold, that day humans didn't fear traps. They learned to use them, and the galaxy would never sleep easy again. Silence had returned to the galaxy. Not peace, not calm, just silence. After the destruction of the alien blockade near Jupiter, many systems pulled back. Fear was in the air. Whispers spread from station to station, ship to ship about the human. Retaliation, the weapons Earth had never shown before. The warships that now moved like shadows through deep space. But one empire didn't learn. The Varnock Dominion. Arrogant, old, proud. They believed Earth had used all its strength. They believed the Terran response was just a flash of anger. It's not a promise. So the Varnock built a fortress on the edge of Sol's border, a challenge carved from steel and arrogance. Their message was loud. Stay in your cage, Earth. You've barked once. Do not growl again. But Earth did growl, and then it roared. It started with a signal, a single encrypted pulse sent from Earth's black site base. Gibraltar Deep, buried beneath the crust of Mars' dead moon, Dymas. The signal was short, but those who received it knew its meaning. The roar protocol had been activated all across the scattered human colonies. Hidden bases opened, sealed hangars hissed with escaping pressure, and long-dormant engines lit up for the first time in years. Massive weapons, unknown to the galaxy, moved quietly into position. No public speech was made, no official broadcast given. Earth spoke through movement, not words. Back on Earth, Admiral Kalen stood on the command bridge of the human flagship, TSV Stormbreaker, a Titan-class dreadnought never seen before by alien eyes. The bridge was dark, glowing only from red lines tracing the walls. Battle mode, she gave the order. Bring Earth's edge to life. The Varnock fortress, called Vaktar's Blade, was the largest space station ever built by their kind. Over 14 kilometers long, armed with hundreds of rail cannons, energy slicers, gravity nets, and shield walls powered by a dying star. It hovered just outside Pluto's orbit, daring humans to make a move, and they did. On the 7th day after the Varnock warning, space around Vaktar's Blade shimmered. No warning, no transmission, just ripples. The first Terran ship decloaked, then another, then 5 more, then 20, until the Varnock saw 50 black warships surrounding their fortress. The ships had no flags, no names, no identification numbers. They were completely black-made to swallow light, not reflect it. The station's commander, Varnock General Treshgun, barked orders. He had fought dozens of wars. He didn't fear humans until one of the ships broadcast a single image. The Earth rotating slowly in space, calm blue, peaceful. And then came the words, "You were warned." Assault began, no sound, just light. Human plasma beams cut through Varnock defenses like paper. Bombs disguised as comets detonated from inside the station's fuel tunnels, gravity warping. Weapons bent the fortress's own shields into crushing waves. Within the first minute, 2 of the Varnick's reactor cores exploded. By the 5th minute, their internal gravity failed. Bodies floated, screamed, and vanished in blue-white flashes at 10 minutes. The entire left wing of the station broke off and disappeared into the void. Admiral Kalin watched from the Stormbreaker. Her voice was steady, cold. Let them see. Earth's edge. Let them learn what we hide there. As the Varnock tried to regroup, they realized something horrifying. Humans weren't aiming for a quick kill. They were showing power. They were sending a message, and the message was this: we could destroy you in seconds, but we won't. We want you to remember. The last Varnock transmission was picked up by deep space listening posts all over the quadrant. A scream. Then these are not the same humans we threatened. By the end of the battle, the fortress was gone. Not fully destroyed. Not fully intact. Just ruined. It floated in space, cracked dead. And silent, the human warships vanished again into the black, their engines dim and quiet. No victory speech. No demand for surrender. They had said what they needed to say with fire. The galaxy heard it. From the Varnock to the Grell, from the neutral trade hubs to the distant council rings. Everyone heard Earth's roar. And for the first time since this war began, the universe understood one clear truth. Earth doesn't bark. It bites. The battlefield was silent. Not because there were no ships left. Not because the war was over. But because everyone had stopped to watch. Thousands of alien war fleets, made of different species from every part of the galaxy, had gathered to decide one thing. Should they destroy Earth? Or finally accept humans as equals? The final vote would happen in minutes. Above a neutral moon, a great silver ring floated. It was called the Judgment Circle, created by the Eldari over 5,000 years ago. Here once every 1,000 years. The galaxy met to end wars without more blood. But this time, the war had already bled too far, and Earth was the reason. General Lamina stood alone at the front of Earth's delegation. Behind her, in perfect formation, stood the 5 human Titan class. Dreadnought's massive ships, each the size of a small moon. Their black hulls bore the scars of battle, but their weapons glowed with silent power. Across from them, the alien fleets floated like a wall of color-green Varaxi ships, bone-white Akari spire ships, glowing blue Zalari cruisers, all waiting, all silent. Then the final message came. A voice, deep and calm, echoed across all ships. The Judgment Circle calls this final session. The question, should humanity be erased from the stars? Or embraced as protectors of balance? Gasps rippled across channels. Many had expected the question to be simply race or exile. But now, protectors. General Amina narrowed her eyes. Something had changed. 3 weeks earlier, humanity had crushed the last of the Krolax forces. The Insectoid Empire had launched a full-scale assault on Earth's colonies in Sector
5.
But they failed. They failed because humans had changed. They didn't just defend anymore, they pushed back hard in a matter of days. The Krolax Empire had lost 60% of its territory. Their war queens surrendered. Their homeworld burned from within. In their final message, they said something strange. You should have never awakened Earth. The galaxy is not ready. That message spread. Other species heard it, and panic began to grow, because Krolax were the same species that had once defeated 4 other empires, and yet humans made them fall in a week. So the Council of Elders did what it hadn't done in 1,000 years. They called the Judgment Circle. It wasn't just about Earth anymore. It was about the future of the entire galaxy, back in the present. One by one, the delegates stood to vote. Some voted erase. Some voted exile. But then, something unexpected happened. The Varaxi war priest stood up, speaking in his guttural voice. We once feared the humans, their rage, their weapons. But when our world burned from a solar storm, they were the first to send help, not words, not promises. Action, we vote. Protectors. Gasps filled the hall again. Even Amina blinked in surprise. Next the Zalir, elegant and cold. Their leader had lost her sister in the war with humans years ago, but today she stood tall and calm. We fought them, lost many, but they did not destroy us. They gave us peace when they could have taken revenge. We vote. Protectors. One by one, the votes shifted. Erase, exile, then more and more, protectors. It was coming down to the last vote, the Ikari, the Bone Fleet builders. They hated humanity the most. In secret, they had helped fund the Krolax War. They had wanted Earth to fall. And now, their leader, High Admiral Salvin, stood up. We do not forget pain. We do not forgive easily. His voice trembled. We cannot deny what we see. Humanity has the power to destroy the galaxy, but it did not. It held back. When the Krolax used children as shields, humans found another way. No empire in history has done that. We vote. The entire galaxy seemed to stop breathing. Protectors. And then silence. The final count was broadcast. Erase. 217. Exile. 433. Protectors. 841. Amina stood still. Her fleet behind her didn't move. Then the voice of the Judgment Circle declared, the galaxy has spoken. Humanity shall not be erased. It shall not be cast out, shall rise. As guardians, as cheers broke out across thousands of ships. But Amina didn't cheer. She turned to her second in command. Her voice was low. They only chose us now, because they're afraid. The man nodded. And now they've made us protectors. She looked out into space. Then we'd better show them what that really means. On Earth, celebrations exploded across cities. Lights danced over oceans. Children waved flags. Old soldiers cried quietly on their porches. The humans had not just survived, they had changed the galaxy's path no one would ever again threaten. Earth and expects silence no one would ever again see. Humanity is weak or wild. They were now something else. Not conquerors, not victims, but the ones who came when all others failed. The ones who answered with strength. The Judgment Circle faded into the stars. But the message echoed far beyond. If you harm the balance, the protectors will come. And everyone knew it meant humans.